And with that, the live stream starts. This is Dev24 2021, day 2. Welcome. And good morning, Louis.
Good morning, Olaf.
Now, if anybody is watching this recording, you can safely skip the first 20 minutes because we are only starting this so that everybody in the audience in our work adventure world can set up the stream and can try out everything with audio, with video, and so on. We're going to play some video up front so that there is just a little bit of sound, a little bit of movement in there, and that everybody can set up. So if you're watching the recording, skip 20 minutes, check the description below because there will be the time codes, at least if you're not watching this the day after it goes live. So sooner or later, all of the time codes will be there. Anything that you want to add, Louis?
No, just I think it was good to split that into times 12 for our own sanity and health. I hope you had a good time slip.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just so that we can get a proper start, let's check with if I have something in my history. Yeah, I'll just use the DEFCON opening again, and maybe we can send a message to the stream viewers because the stream doesn't start automatically. Everybody in the audience should be aware that this is starting. Could you do that? Sorry, can you send a message to the people in the audience that it's now that they can now start the stream? Stream is running. Worst case, they need to leave the room or reload. I don't know exactly what they need to do. I'm going to start the DEFCON opening from 2018, which takes about a minute or so to start anyway with the countdown.
For a minute. Please stop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board Liferay DEFCON 6. We're very happy to have you here. However, we need to interrupt the countdown for just a second because unfortunately we first need to make you aware of our safety and event procedures. This is how you fasten and unfasten your name tag. Please make sure to wear your name tag at all times because we expect unexpected turbulences in name memory. Our boarding procedure for the rest of the day, especially when we're in the track rooms, include that we ask you to maximize the energy in the room by starting to board from the front, first rows board first, and then only the back. Imagine the energy when everybody's here in the first row, like Fred. It's just higher energy for the speakers. Another way to maximize the value of this event is to just make sure to talk to everybody. We make sure to have 90 employees of Liferay here for your pleasure, for your communication, for your talking. This includes software developers, back-end as well as front-end. This includes engineers from support. This includes executives. We even brought salespeople. So make sure you talk to them. This venue is equipped with several restrooms. You will find them out the door, to the back, and partly also in the upper deck. They're clearly marked with the word toilet. Please refrain from smoking all over the venue, including the toilets. This journey has been made possible by the numerous donations of all of our sponsors. Please make sure to visit their booth, see what they have to offer, because, well, after all, they offered this marvelous event to all of us. This venue is equipped with 2 flight decks, as well as 4 track rooms. You will find one on just this ground floor. This is track A, and you will find the others, track B, C, and D, out the doors, to the back, up the stairs, on the first flight deck. Also on the first flight deck, our first class passengers will have the opportunity to enjoy a great cup of coffee. This is being prepared by the German Barista Champion 2010 to 2012. Just to let you know, the first class includes everybody who is now sitting in row 1 to 30. If you're behind row 30, sorry, no coffee for you. During and after the afternoon coffee break, life vests will be distributed outside at reception. Only when asked to do so, take your life vest, pull it over your head, and wear it properly. There's no need to inflate, and upon contact with water, it will automatically get wet. When you communicate with your loved ones, the ones that you leave at home, please make sure to use the tag #LRDEFCON. This helps finding each other's communication and see where we all are in the universe. You also might want to be up to date on our timetable, on where we are, when we are where, and what happens at each time. So please make sure to download the events app and follow the agenda there, see all the tracks, well, plan your day. More important, or most important, also please rate our talks, the presentations that you see. This will greatly help to make sure that we have a proper mix of topics for the next event. In order to use the events app, you will need internet connection. And I'm very happy to say that we have in-flight Wi-Fi throughout the whole venue. In order to connect to the Wi-Fi, you will see the network and the password here. Just connect to the Wi-Fi and it should just work. Of course, once we're in cruising altitude. In the unlikely event of a loss in Wi-Fi signal, Ethernet cables will drop from the ceiling above you. Pull one of them towards you to start the flow of bits. Connect it to your device, and only then help fellow Apple users that didn't bring their adapter. Ladies and gentle people, we are now ready to commence the countdown to start and continue our launch procedure. So please make sure to put your seats in an upright position, stow away your tray table and heavy hand luggage under the seat in front of you. For launch, we will also dim the cabin light, and cabin crew, please prepare for takeoff. We may continue the countdown. Please enjoy your journey.
And here I'll pause. I see that some of you have moved and can see the stream. Not everybody has moved and not everybody can see the stream yet. But sooner or later you will figure out that there is something missing. Well, here we are. Well, let me add a camera here and stop this video completely. So, welcome and good morning again. And if you are watching the recording, then you can still advance for about 9 minutes at least in order to go to the first content or just look at the time codes that are most likely posted within, well, let's say the first week after this event. They won't appear immediately, but you will be able to navigate to every single presentation within this stream. Now, in order to wait and have an audio test, video test for everybody, let's play yet another video, which I kind of like because it was an actual business trip. I've played it again. I've played it already yesterday. So if you have been here yesterday, use it as audio video test. And otherwise, this can happen during a business trip. And yeah, it was a quite weird experience. In hindsight, it was really good or funny. While I was in there, it was a little bit weird. So start sharing the YouTube video. So this was at a speech contest. Basically, I turned this into a speech. And if you happen to know Toastmasters, this is what it's from. And if you don't happen to know Toastmasters, then just look them up and let's go.
Please help me welcome Olaf Kok with Overweight. Overweight, Olaf Kok.
Are you a frequent flyer? An occasional traveler? Did you leave your home to get here? I think I found my audience. Fellow Toastmasters, please join me on a trip to Los Angeles. Frankfurt baggage drop. My suitcase registers at 24.2 kilos, 23 being allowed. Well, that's nothing that a quick and sincere smile and a flip of the frequent traveler card can't fix. Have a nice trip, Mr. Kok. See? It works. Now, think of someone you know who has lost some weight and gained it back. That's precisely what happened during the 2 weeks in Los Angeles to my suitcase. Would you use the same strategy? Smile and rely on the card? Well, I would. And just to be safe, I'm adding another one. I'm wearing an extra layer of clothes. So picture a polar scientist entering Los Angeles airport, well prepared, smiling. Only for my smile to freeze when I see the 20 check-in machines that won't react to my smile. My suitcase registers at 52.9 pounds. 50 are allowed. I don't know what 2.9 pounds are, but the machine also translates to a more familiar unit. $200. On top of that, next to me I overhear an airline dragon in a human body helping a fellow traveler. Well, the machine is always right. Then don't buy those cheap tickets. Panic, cold sweat. I gotta change my strategy. That's it, a new suitcase, a second suitcase is only $100 and I need a new one anyway. Well, now the dragon is on me. Honey, if I tell you now where you can buy another suitcase, you'll be back in 2 hours. Do you have that time? The question is not if, the question is when you'll face your next travel challenge. And apparently, today is my day. I'll take a deep breath of the air-conditioned air of the terminal, say goodbye to $200, and stick the label on the suitcase. And then I'll do the only thing possible. I'll smile. It's over now. Until dragon number 2, baggage drop. That's overweight. Correct. Overweight. It takes the help of the receipt to tell her the story, the help of her supervisor to find a heavy sticker to put it on my suitcase, and finally accept it. Not without rubbing it in one more time. You paid $200 for this? I'll save you from the dragon's lair insecurity, because the question is not if, the question is when you'll face your next travel challenge, and today is my day. With a slightly forced smile, I'll reach the gate about 15 minutes before departure. Ladies and gentle people, your flight to Houston will take the enormous time of 3 hours and 40 minutes. Treat yourself some luxury, because I have exactly one seat for you available in first class. It's yours for only $184. Yeah. Have you ever been in a situation where they were trying to market something to you with your defenses down? The question is not if, Hold on. Excuse me. If I buy this upgrade, can I bring overweight luggage? Well, she's puzzled. I'm at the gate. I won't have overweight luggage with me. And with that, I also learned her name from the badge, which is Maria. So it takes her, the receipt again, to understand the full story. Now this changes everything. You mean you actually get money back for flying first class? Of course you will. And she's quick to inform everybody at the gate, her supervisor, and almost the cleaning crew. What a smart guy. Gets money back for flying first class. And Maria sells all the first class tickets. Now, she's quick to refund my $200, charge me an extra $184, and with her sincere and gleaming smile, finally makes me smile again. You wonder what's in it for you, right? There's 2 takeaways. Number 1, if you really want to pack those extra shorts and shoes, go first class, it's cheaper. Now keep that smile, keep that mood, remember that feeling, and use it when you go home tomorrow. Because the question is not if, the question is when you'll face your next opportunity in travel. And when that opportunity hits, you want it to hit you smiling.
Whoa, stopping such a video is always bang brutal, but it's just in time. Good morning, Louis. Good morning, everybody. Good everything, everybody.
Good everything, Olaf. Good everything, everybody.
It is 11 o'clock UTC, or whatever time it is when you watch the recording. We have already a quite crowded auditorium, but it seems that not everybody is connected to the live stream yet. Never mind, they will know that the time has come and they will try to troubleshoot, I guess. Louis, you are well hidden behind the chandelier. You might want to walk to the front.
Yes.
There you are. Look at that. So now it feels like we can walk on stage, and we can nervously walk on stage, you know.
You get to know everyone in the front row, and
know how that works when somebody is really nervous and walks and walks and walks. Well, this is Dev.24. This is day 2 of Dev.24, and we have our fun in our work adventure world. I hope everybody else has too. The world was open overnight. I don't know what happened here, but I see Louis needs some more movement today.
Yeah,
that's the movement that we don't get during the day.
And that speed also. Reach that speed in your life.
Indeed. So for today, I can't bring, or I didn't bring Fiete because he is, my parents borrowed him, which means I won't have a dog following me. I won't have anyone following me, or I don't need to pay attention to step on him.
Oh, that's why you updated the companion in Work Adventure.
Yes. Yeah, I thought I won't have a dog there. That means nobody's following me. I think my second avatar still has the dog, so I'm gonna use or I'm gonna change that still. Now, housekeeping. What do we have? Do we have anything that we'll need to mention that we should mention from housekeeping? And where are all my windows that I have prepared?
I think that today we have some breaks, right? Compared to yesterday, where
yes,
very intense.
Yep. So today we will need to, or we will ask the audience to move a little bit to make real use of the world. We will have more Q&A in the pub, which is just left of us. And I see some people have figured out that the stream begins and something is happening, that they can't see anything yet. So there's some movement in the audience.
Yeah, I think I sent a global message to all rooms.
Do we have a reload emoji? I don't think so. What we also have is we are back with today's sponsor, or with the event's sponsor, which is USU. So just left of us, or west from us, there's the pub with the USU, not quite booth, but it's a coffee table, and I'm sure they have a coffee. You might need to pick it up in your own kitchen, but you can have a coffee while talking to them. They are one of Liferay's certified partners, situated in Germany. That's the part that I know. They might be in other parts as well, but today we are situated all over. Louis is in France, I'm in Germany, and various people that I see and know in the audience, or that I've met yesterday, are from all over the world. At this time of the day, it's probably more the European side, but also South America woke up. So we spoke to Brazil. Hello, Brazil. Hi, Anne. And we spoke to several other people already. I've seen that. So now, what else do we have? Yesterday, I think I've postponed and then never came back to this. An event like this is always something where I feel this is a privilege to be able to call this work, because, well, appearing on the live stream sounds so nice, and then somebody else is doing the work and doing all of the presentations. With that live stream, that's one part, but preparing everything, setting everything up, I got to say, well, number one, props to Louis, who had lots of input in this world in moderation. He was kind of the secret star of last year's Dev 24, because he was answering all kinds of questions that came in the back end. Just before anybody could answer their own Q&A, Louis already gave the answer. So we had a shortcut on Q&A. So this is the time to say thank you for that. We also have several other people working tirelessly in the background. Anne, if you meet Anne from Brazil, she's one of the fighters for Dev24 everywhere. So she has been very vocal and vital in the team to put together the agenda, to work tirelessly behind the scenes, to deliver support, to do all kinds of stuff. And then there are others. There's Jonas, there's Wes, there's... I shouldn't start naming everyone, because I will forget someone. Alvaro is there. Rose helped. Who else did I forget? As I said, I shouldn't start with that.
I'm stopping you. There's so many people who give help somehow with more or less contribution, but that's not the important part. They all gave some contribution, helped us. And thanks to those Liferay employees and colleagues, we can do this event in those conditions. So thanks to all of you, and I'm sure you will recognize yourself even if we didn't name you.
Yeah, indeed. So that's the real beauty of events like this. You might wonder, say, why is there no such great studio as we had at DEF CON or at Liferay Vision? And the reason is we basically did this as a community effort. We just said, well, actually, we need all of this information. We need the 7.4 information, because 7.4 GA3, 4? I think it was 4. Community Edition GA4.
4 and 5 is on the way.
Yeah, so that was out yesterday. Liferay DXP 7.4 was out yesterday. And we're just in time to learn about all of those new features. That being said, I see on the couch there is Carlos to the side of the stage, and I would say Carlos, you could come on stage already and prepare your presentation, because Carlos is the very first speaker for today, and we might have some chat with him as well. If that is the Carlos who is about to start. We'll see whenever the stream delay.
There's two Carlos now.
There's two Carloses.
Both of them.
Okay, are these the two the same Carloses that we have on stage now, or which Carlos is that?
Yes, it's the same.
Okay.
I need two computers.
Okay, well, there we have our first split personality of the day. I think I'm allowed to say that because I'm running around with two avatars as well.
Yeah.
But one is at the entrance and currently just in my ear. Okay, let's see. I think we'll need to send another message to everybody in the audience that they'll need to move out and back in, and then they can see the stream. If somebody could do that. Is Anne still here? Then yes, she's there, so she might be able to do that.
Yeah.
And send one last reminder to everyone. To everyone watching the stream, if you have fast forwarded for the first, it must be roughly 30 minutes, then you are at the right place. We are about to start with the first actual technical content. So look at that. Suddenly there's movement. And suddenly...
You said technical. That's the word.
Yeah, but how did they know?
Yeah, 20 seconds in advance.
Yeah, let's see. If you click on your own name in the audience, if you click on your own name, then you can signal some emojis, smiley, applause, or whatever. So signal something when you can hear us. Number one, then we can see the delay that we have with the stream. And number two, oh, today it's shorter. Yes, I've put in a shorter delay today. That is nice. So we can actually work interactively, and we see people we see people reacting. That is nice.
And I just sent the global message. So
Oh, you did. Okay. Carlos, how are you this morning?
I'm fine. Yes, looking for this awesome day.
Good. Then let's check everything again. Would you be ready to start 5 minutes early?
Yep, no problem.
That's good. We might have somebody then popping in a minute after, but should be fine. People should be in time at conferences like these, right? The Hitchhiker's Guide, the Front-End Developer's Guide to the Galaxy. This is a topic that I have seen from you a couple of times, even at the past Dev.24, and I think at some DevCon already. Yeah. You're not just repeating everything, right?
No, it's kind of I'm trying to keep the same story, but with different topics. The important part is the second part. This talk will be about remote apps in the end.
Mm-hmm. So is there any value in following or in starting with the first story? Is there a continuation, or is this completely
it's
separate?
kind of the similar universe, just to continue with the same story. It's not important at all.
Okay, so we don't need to intrinsically know everything from the first one. Good. Then I would say, unless Louis stops me, I would say let's start. There's quite a chaotic seating in the audience. We might ask them for order. Like, why do we have all of these seats when they're standing all around?
Imagine that in real life. People across multiple chairs sitting on the left while they have the main stage in front. That would be fun.
Yeah, and then let's raise the energy in the room. That always helps in-person meetings as well. Please move all to the front, because the more people are in the front, the higher the energy is for the speaker. And let's see that. And yeah, that being said, let's start. You were ready to be 5 minutes early. Now you can start 2 minutes early. Let's go with it. The Front-End Developer's Guide to the Galaxy. Welcome, Carlos. Take it away.
Thank you, Olaf. Let me share my screen. And here we go. Hello, everyone. As you already know, during this last year and a half, we have had to adapt to this new post-pandemic world with a lot of new stuff. New ways of working, new ways of communication, going to the doctor, attend to conferences. And now most of those things works in remote. And of course, Liferay was not going to be left behind. Before that, we were already able to run our DXP portal in remote using DXP Cloud. And now we also have the option of integrating remote applications in our sites. But wait. What's a remote application? I'm pretty sure that you already know it, but just in case, let me explain it. A remote app is just a web application that lives outside of our DXP environment that we want to show inside of our platform. It can be as simple as an application that won't interact with Portal at all, to a complex one in which we will need to send and receive data from DXP or trigger some events or action within our sites. And during last year's Dev.24, we learned that we can develop components outside Liferay portal and deploy them to our platform using just front-end tools, thanks to our Liferay JS toolkit and all the APIs Liferay offers, of course. But we also can face a situation where we can deploy our applications or components in DXP, or where those apps are third-party applications and the only thing we can do with them is just show them. Well, here's where the magic of remote apps comes into play. With this system, we will be able not to just embed external applications in our sites, but to create bidirectional communication between Liferay DXP and the remote app. To do this, we will have two options. The first one will be using an iframe, a remote app using an iframe. We can use that to show the remote app embedded in an iframe in our site. Some of the pros of using this approach are that our application will be tech agnostic. We don't need to stick to a specific technology to build our app, not even JS if we don't want or if we don't need it. We will have bidirectional communication between the application and DXP using the SDK we provide. We will also have out-of-the-box authentication system using the SDK too. And we will have our application isolated. In the end, the app won't be inside DXP, so it won't affect its behavior if something goes wrong. But we also have some cons. The communication between the app and DXP is limited to what the SDK can offer and what post messages, that is the way you send data through an iframe, is able to support. Also, the remote app won't get the general styling of the rest of DXP. We can work on this and get the styling doing some calls, but in general, we won't get a customization of styling here. And of course, it's an iframe. That's a con by itself. But we have another option. The other option is to use our remote app as a custom element. Some pros, our app will be totally embedded in DXP, so it will have access to all our JS APIs as if it were developed inside the platform. It will be styled by the general site styles, stylebooks, theme customizations, and so on. We will also have out-of-the-box authentication, but without the need of the SDK. And our application will be configurable. This means that we will be able to set up some props for each instance of the remote app when we place it in the page. So the app will receive these props and work with it as the application needs. And the last pro is that it's not an iframe. As the most remarkable cons here is the lack of isolation, because in the end, we will be running the code directly in DXP. So we need to take care of the security here. But well, this is a tech talk. I think this is enough talking for now. Let's move to the code to see how this really works. But first, we need some context, as always. Let's time travel to the year 2042 to an alternative reality in which humankind have conquered the galaxy and where I'm still working in one of the most important spaceship producer company in Sector 3. A huge pandemic has struck the region and most of us work from home now. Well, most of you, because I'm working from the office right now, as you can see. That's why when the boss, the boss enters the office, he only sees me there, working sad and alone. He reaches me and tells me his last crazy idea for a web platform. The design department uses an old application to sketch pieces and write some notes that you can download as images. This app is hosted in one of the company's old server, and the boss wants me to integrate it in DXP. I have no idea where I can find that code, so I asked the IT guys for that information. What we do know is the URL of the application, so we can start from there in the meantime. Okay, I have to share my screen again because it's failing. Okay, here we go. So this is our application. It's a simple one where we can just draw some stuff. I don't have any idea about drawing, so this is it. We can name this image, and when we click on save, we just download the image as a PNG with transparency and so on. So that's it. We know the URL is in localhost because this is a demo and I'm obviously running it in my machine. So that's anything. That's all we need to place this application as a remote app using an iframe in Liferay.xp. How do we do it? We have to go to our Liferay.xp, go to the applications menu, and in custom apps, go to remote apps. Here we can create a new remote app, give it a name. This one is going to be Galaxy Paint iframe. The type will be an iframe for now, and the URL is my localhost. We can check instanceable. That means that we will be able to place the same remote app more than once in the same page. If we don't mark it, we won't be able to do it. And that's it. Category is fine, so we save it. Now the only thing we need to do is go back to our home site, edit the page, and in the widgets list, under the category of remote apps, we can find Galaxy Paint iframe. We just need to drag and drop it to our page, publish it, and that's it. We have our application running, but inside the XP, working in the same way. I have to put some name here. Exactly the same. If we inspect the HTML, we can see that it's just an iframe with the URL of our application, and that's all. We show this to the boss. He's happy, but he asked us if it's possible to, instead of downloading the image to our computer, if we can save it in DXP using documents and media. Of course, it's possible, but we will need to code something to do it. Fortunately, the IT guys have sent me the code already, so we can take a look to it. First, this is the component. It's a real component that plays with some canvas and have some markup using clay in this case, just to open the markup. And when we click on the save button, we just download the image, okay? But we need to implement the saving in DXP. How can we do that? Let me change to the next branch. Here we go. One of the things we can do to do this is to use the Liferay APIs directly, but we will need to set up some authentication permissions and etc. But if we use the SDK of the remote app client, we don't need to set up anything. And that's what we are going to do. First, we need to include the SDK. It's located in the CDN. I'm taking it from my local installation of the XP, and that's it. Placing this here, we will have access to a new object in window. That is this one, and the client. We just need to create an instance of that client. I'm creating it with the book true to see what is happening in the developer's terminal, and that's it. I have the remote app client. Okay, so how can we do this? Can we send this data to DXP? One of the methods the SDK provides is the fetch method that works similar to the regular fetch method, but it will be DXP the one that will make the actual request. That means that we will ask the SDK to fetch some data. The SDK ask DXP through post messages for that data. DXP gets it, send it back to SDK through post messages again, and finally to us. In this way, it's kind of if we are retrieving this information directly from DXP and not from an external application. So we have it here. We have this remote app client.fetch, and it's like our regular fetch. We have an endpoint, and we have some headers, the method, and the body. This body is from data that contains the file. It's generated by the canvas. One of the things this fetch does is to serialize this information to be able to send it through this post message. And we don't have to worry about this. But we can see here that we need this value. We need the site ID to create the endpoint URL. Where we can find this value? In the same way we have remote app client.fetch, we have other method that is get. And with get method, we have access to some properties, some values like this one, like the site group ID, like the company ID, the user ID, the language ID, if the user is logging in or not, that kind of stuff. So it's what we are going to use. So first, when we first mount the component, we will call getSite group ID method, that is up here. And this method will call the get method from the SDK asking for site group ID. When we get it, we set it as a state, so it's available when we need to use it here in our code. As you can see, this is a promise. This is important, I remark it, because everything that happens through the SDK will happen through a post message to communicate with the XP. And all post message is a promise, and so everything is going to be treated as one. So now, if we go back to the page, well, I have the server running with hot reload, so I don't need to do anything. If we refresh the page, now I can draw another happy face. Well, sorry. Give it a name and save it. Nothing happens. We don't have any feedback. But if we go to content data, documents and media, we see that our image is saved. One thing that we're mentioning is that when we do the first call to a method of the SDK, the SDK will register our instance. This process will allow us to check that the client is being registered with valid data, such as a valid ID, a valid version of the SDK, and the protocol. But most importantly, this creates a unique relationship between the server, that is DSP, and the client, that is the instance of the remote app. In this way, we will be sure that each instance of the application will only receive their data and not others' instance ones. Imagine that we have a page with 2 or 3 instances of the same remote application. We have to be sure that the information is sent to the correct instance. So perfect, it's working. The boss is happy, nice, I'm happy. But we have the problem we just see. We don't have any feedback. When we save the image, we don't see that something happens, and that's something that the design department is going to complain about. How we can fix that? The SDK will help us again. Let me change to the next branch. Okay, so in the same way we have get and we have fetch, we also have OpenToast. This works exactly in the same way that Liferay util OpenToast works in DXP. You specify a message, the type of the alert, and when we call it, this will open an alert, a toast, in DXP, outside our application, just directly in DXP. So when we send our image to the server, we wait for the response, and if the status is correct, we show a success message, and if not, an error one. And in the same way, if we have any other error, we saw an error message. Again, we just need to refresh the page, draw another stuff. We can draw here a sunset, kind of a sunset in the sea with a nice boat here. My drawing skills are awesome. Sunset. We save it, and now we can see here this feedback that tells us that the process went fine. Now again, we can go to documents and media, and we can see here the image we just made. What else we can do? Now, what the boss wants us to implement is that we have to be able to select one of the images we already created, edit it, and save it again. Okay, no problem. It's more or less the same we've been doing. So, first thing we're going to need is the list of documents present in document library. So again, here we have, let me close this and this. Okay, so when we first define the site group ID, we call get documents, and get documents performs a fetch in the same way we saw before, asking for all those documents, a list of documents. We set it as a state, so we can iterate over it in our JSX to show a select. Okay, and when we select one on the onChange event, we call the handle select image method that again asks to the SDK, to the remote app client, to fetch the image, the actual image of that document, because the previous one it was just the title and some value and the URL, but now we are retrieving the actual image URL. So now here we receive it and we paint it. This is internal behavior of the component. We don't need to worry about. And that's it. Again, if we go back to our home page and refresh, now we have this select, and we can select our sunset and maybe add some rays here. Amazing. And save it. Again, the message, success message. And here we have the original image and the new one. Nice. Perfect. Everything is working fine. Okay. All this, we made all of this using an iframe. But we said before that there are some problems with this. For example, as you can see, this is a fresh installation of Liferay. This has no customization, no styling, nothing about that. But what if we have added some styling? For example, a style book. Let's recreate this so we can show it from the beginning. We create a style book. And in this style book, we are going to change, for example, the button color. Instead of the default blue, it's going to be red. Okay, we publish it. We mark this as default. And if we go back to our site, we can see that it's not being applied in our application because it's inside an iframe. This can't work. Okay. How can we fix this? How can we get this working? The only way right now is using a custom component. We have to transform our application that is embedded in an iframe to a custom component, a custom element that can be used as part of the XP. And we can do it in a very easy way. Change to the last branch. Okay. So what we need to do? First thing is that we don't need the SDK anymore, so we just remove it and forget about it. In the app, we don't need to instantiate the SDK anymore. So we remove it, and now we have access to the XP window. And in the XP window, we have library object and theme display object that we will need these objects here. For example, here to create the sprite map URL, we need the path theme images that we get from this method in theme display. What else we need to change? All the calls from the client, like fetch or the open toast, we don't need the SDK. We have directly this fetch from library util. Like we are working now inside the XP. So we just replace it here and here, open toast. We have this method also in library util. Or for example, the site group ID, we can get it from theme display get site group ID. And that's it. It's as simple as that. That's everything we need to do in the app. But we need to create our custom element. How we can do that? Following the specification of a HTML element. We need to create a class that extends HTML element, okay, and implement this class. Connected callback. Here we are creating a new container, and we are rendering our application in that container. After that, we register our component as a custom element called Galaxy Paint, and if it's already registered, we don't nothing. We don't do anything. That's it. As simple as that. We don't need anything else. So if we go back to the site, oh, it's not working. Why? Because we are using the iframe, the remote app with type iframe. So no styles are loading here. Before this step, one of the things we were loading in our application was clay, the styles from clay. That's why we saw the styling more or less correct. But now we are not loading it because we don't need it. We are already in the XP. So now we need to remove this remote app from our page because it's an iframe. And we need to create a new one. In this case, we are going to name it Galaxy Paint Custom Element. The type will be Custom Element. Okay, HTML element name. The name have to be the same, exactly the same as the custom element we defined in our application. Galaxy Paint, right. And in URL, we have to place all the JS files needed in order to make our component work. In this case, I created this component using Create React App, so this is running with Webpack. And the way that Webpack works is serving 3 files: bundle.js, vendors main chunk.js, and main chunk.js. We just need to load these 3. Let me copy the link. Here, we add another one. Copy the vendors. Add another one. And copy the main chunk. Obviously, you probably will have a unique dist file for your application, but this is working with whole reload and Webpack, so we need to place this. Any file you need for the application to work, place it here. 1, 10, no problem. And we can also add some custom CSS files to style the application. We don't need it here, so forget about that. And again, we can make it instantiable. We save it, and we can go back to our site, edit the page, and in the widget list, we find a new remote app that is Galaxy Paint Custom Element. We drag and drop it here, publish, and here it is. It's working exactly in the same way it was working before. Okay, but now you can see that the stylebook, the changes in the styling we made before, they are affecting our application. Why? Because if we inspect the HTML, we can see that there is no iframe. Now we have this custom element that is Galaxy Paint. I don't know if you can see it. Let me, okay. Galaxy Paint with our component inside. And that's it. That's it why it's working. And that's more or less most of it. Let me share my slides again. What is coming next? We are working on this feature right now, and this roadmap is not for 7.5, it's for the next JAs, okay? So now we are working in adding support in the JS toolkit to generate a custom element from your React, Angular, Vue, vanilla application, whatever technology you use, ready to use as a remote app. That means that you won't need to worry about creating this custom element that we just see, this implementation of HTML element or defining the custom component. We will make it for you using the JS toolkit. We are working in adding support to use AS modules as remote apps, adding localization support to use Liferay language get and so on. Add support to use custom element in fragments, that it's almost done, but we're working on that, and support for routing. And more or less, that's the thing. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you have any question, please, you can reach me around, or you can find Ivan Zaera or Javier Gamarra and ask anything you want. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks a lot, Carlos.
Thank you.
It was quite interesting to see where we go with remote apps, especially in the custom element, I think, because it seemed that the best way to go with it. We don't have any question in Slack. Let me check the YouTube video. No, we don't have any, but hopefully I have one that would be, how do you see the best way to organize, imagine you have a lot of apps, it's scaling Liferay XP with remote apps and how to optimize, common libraries you're using. And the first one I would see with the React application is that, from what I know, Liferay XP is serving a version of React that you could use with the JS toolkit, so you don't have to load it every time there's a new instance. And so what would be the way with remote apps?
For now, Ivan, if you are there, come to the stage. Maybe you can answer better than me. But as long as I understood, here we are loading, as a custom element, we are loading the JS files independently. So I think we are not getting benefit of this React importer. But it's something we can talk about.
Yeah, sure. So what I think, maybe in Webpack you have to exclude like React.
Yeah.
But it would be how you would say to your React application that the import comes from DXP.
It depends in the way you work with, because if you are developing your application outside Liferay,
sure,
you probably need to see it and create the build in a different way for production and that kind of stuff.
It could be different Webpack configuration, like you have, like, dev prods, you could have like one for DXP, and in which case you would exclude React and optimize things for deployment in DXP. And I think that's something that is quite challenging for customers with a lot of front-end teams and or using the same library, or they want to really organize which library is used in which version. And so that kind of keep track of all dependencies.
Nice.
Cool. I don't know if you have any remarks or questions, Olaf.
I only have unqualified feedback, which is for a front-end topic. I want to congratulate you on the choice of graphics, which about meets the way that I would design interfaces if I'm allowed to, but for that good reason, I'm not allowed to design interfaces this way.
Thank you.
I'm guilty of using the same style of illustration, and it's always fun to do so. Nobody expects that.
Yep.
Yeah, so if we can ask you this time or today to be available for Q&A and to
Yep.
keep it a little bit closer to this, let's not use the Q&A pavilion, but just go to the dinner table at the pub just west of us.
Okay.
And I don't know, should you go with both of your avatars and the dog,
No.
or should you go alone? I don't know.
I can go along with my cat, but I can leave the other one in the space.
Okay. Oh yeah, right. Dog, cat. That's not so. That's not so clear. I believe the files are called dog, but I would say from a shape, they're actually rather.
I think mine is a cat, but yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've asked the work adventure people. It's like, will you have dogs, please? And they said, well, we have. So we checked all of the artwork, and the artwork actually names them dog. But I would say the shape names them cat.
Probably.
Is it a dog or a cat? Is it a duck? Does it quack? Does it walk like a dog? Or a duck? Whatever. Well, let's already call Rose and Francisco on stage because they're up next. And we might as well prepare with them.
Thanks a lot, Carlos.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And for everyone else in the audience, feel free to follow Carlos to the pub. Oh, and I see there's a conversation space in the top right corner. That is interesting. Well, let's
Hi,
see.
Francisco.
Hi.
Rose is moving. There she is. Okay, Francisco, where are you? I can't see
It's
you
me.
on stage. I can't see you on stage.
Give me a
didn't-
second.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Yeah, just behind Rose. Okay. Good.
Hello.
So we have another front-end heavy topic here, and that is quite interesting. This is the stuff where I can wreak havoc. So I'm not sure if I should introduce or Louis. We're winging it today, so we didn't really discuss who should or who shouldn't. Louis,
Because
do
it's
you have a
unprepared,
preference?
because we don't care, because it's a community event and we do rock style, like we go on stage and do stuff. And here we have two great consultants from Liferay, Francisco and Rose. And you may have seen some blog from Rose, who's been very productive when it comes to front-end development in Liferay DXP. And today, you guys are going to talk more about style books. For those who were yesterday, we talked about style books and actually how to use them so you don't have to do a custom theme and you have a lot in your hands to customize Liferay. But actually, if you want more branding, you can do a custom theme still and leverage the style books to expose some tokens and add more customization to very custom elements. So I believe that's all for my introduction to you guys, and I leave you the stage.
Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. I will share my screen with you guys. Okay. Okay. So here we are. So how Louis was introduction, we would like to show you guys today how to cook your custom theme with your custom style books. Actually, we had in the last Dev 24 presentation showing us the style books, and it was pretty nice actually from the guys on Liferay, our co-workers here. And the question is, I saw most of this part of people thinking, oh, but I can add this in my custom theme. And the question is yes. So first of all, if you don't know what is style books thinking about variables to give freedom for the business the business people actually. Sorry, I need to to close my Slack, but I forgot. So here with style books, we have normally this is a design coming from Liferay, of course, thinking that the theme base, we have the classic theme, and on the top we can put the style books, no? And we can change everything in our theme, the primer colors, the second colors, the typography, and after that we have the fragments, the page templates, and actually putting everything together, we have a platform very powerful now with Liferay. So how do stylebooks works? Actually, maybe we're thinking if you are a front-end in Liferay, we forgot our our job. No, with this. Sorry, I will stop sharing 1 minute because I need to 1 minute because I need to close my. Oh, sorry. Okay, my Slack because if don't, it will be impossible. Okay, again. So now, as I was speaking about the style books, actually giving to us the freedom, and we don't lost our power in developing front end. Actually, you have more. We have more work to do it because with this we will design with the tokens the possibility to recreate some styles, some new branch. Business people can, with only one custom theme, redesign everything in totally low code. Okay. So for create our custom theme, maybe most of you know how to create, but as we have every day new people coming through our Lifer world, it's good to know that we have a requirements, which is we need to use the npm and Geomon. The npm to manage the node package. The Geomon is the responsible to create our structure of our project. You can create without Geomon, of course, but will be a boring task to do it. So after these 2 requirements installed, we only need to install, which you can see here now. We only need to install the Liferay, the generator Liferay theme. Okay. Um, a good practice, which I saw normally in the community people with some problems, is try to install the Liferay generator theme at global level. Okay, it's better for you. And any, if you have any previous version of the Lifer Film Generator, I advise you to install again because you will have available the Lifer version, the theme to the Lifer 7.4 version. Okay, I believe this is the. So if you install again, we will have the Lifer to the theme for the to we will be able to generate a theme for the Lifer 7.1, 7.2, 7.1, no, it's too old, yeah, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4, which in the XP it was released today, but in community version we are using for more time actually. So once we have installed the theme with the generator, you only need to use the Joe actually with Liferay theme. So we'll start to ask to you some things about your project. Okay. So here I will put my dev.24 theme. And here is, as I was saying, the versions. If you have only the 7.1, 7.2, and 7.3, probably you have old version. So install again and at global level. Okay. So here, let's choose the 7.4. Here is if I want or not the font also. No. Okay. Take some time to generate this thing because it's getting some dependencies from the internet to mount our project. Once finish this step, will ask to us about our deployment strategy. You can have your Docker container or local, but normally we have local, the front end. In this case, you can only copy the entire path here. Okay. And here we'll ask where is our portal. So here I'll put, okay, let's up this a little. Okay. HTTP, okay. Localhost. Here is in my HH2 port. Okay, I have my theme created here. If we see here in the visual code, important thing which I didn't speak before is I like to work. Let me open another. Always inside the Liferay workspace, because this way we have more control about the entire project. They offer to us control with the dependencies. And one point very important here is the version. If you are working with the Liferay portal 7.3 and 7.4, it's important to have here the specific version, because this way you will avoid some issues with some actually some dependencies to putting in your projects or modules. So in this case, I'm using a Liferay workspace as always. This is the theme that we create now. This theme, always when we create something, this theme inherits from the style theme, which came with some styles coming from Clay and give to us uh, actually a facility to have the menu. When you do some deploying your theme, you continue have everything in Liferay. You only need to add the branch of in your theme from some company, or if you're a company. If you use the theme unstyled, came with the basically the minimal of the minimal CSS. So it's not recommended because it's too hard to work. The things will actually go off control. Normally we work with the theme style. For this reason, come with the theme style normally. Okay. Another thing here, we have a clean theme to generate to see. Inside the web link, we have the configuration of this theme, which normally we add to nowadays to use or not the default header and footer. Why use this? Because now we have the fragments option. So maybe we want to create a hot site tomorrow, or a page which you want to be able to do very fast the change and the header and the footer, but we want to have the main branch of this thing. So you can hide. Here is normally to do this type of things, which Kiko will show us now how to work the thing in the theme. And when we create this thing, normally we don't have any page, as you said. We have only this source with 3 files. So it's normally we execute npm run build the first build will give to us these folders build, and coming from this folder, we will get the files which want to apply our difference and our branch. So which we recommend always coming from start your clean theme, get some files, execute the build, and get the files coming from here and pass to the source and apply your difference. Don't try to, if you are coming from some migration, don't get the entire file from the migration and put here. Try to see the difference in the files, because it's the new version and has new things. Okay. Another good point to see is here we have the init, which offer to us a lot of variables. It's important to know it because make our life easier. And at the end, you can see that we have a custom init being included, this file. So if you need to add some new variables in your theme, please use this file. It's a good practice because tomorrow you need to maybe to change to change the version of Liferay, and it's in this inherence from the theme base coming with new thing maybe, and you will lost. So put your variables always here. And for finish this part, as you can see here, we have a lot of SAS with variables. It's where our theme it works. And we came here and get some files as sample the clay variables, and we drag and drop here in our source. Okay. For change some values from clay, you can create your custom values. You can change the default values coming from inside our theme. And this part I will pass to Kiko, actually, which is the person that will show us how to do it, and the most important part of this presentation, how to add in this new custom theme a new custom style books.
Okay, thank you so much, Rose. So let me share my screen. Okay. So first things first, we have our portal, right? But first things first, we need to use our theme. Okay. So we are gonna do that right now. We have it over here. Okay. And we click save, and now we have our theme. Okay. But I don't know what you think, guys, but this theme looks kinda plain, right? So we are gonna give it some taste, right? Some flavor. To do so, we are gonna create an style book, okay? And of course, our super style book from the .24. Click save. But since this is a custom theme, we can see that this theme does not include a token definition, okay? So what do we do? What do we do now? What can we do? Well, easy peasy. We are gonna create our token definition, okay? So to do so, we go to this folder over here. We are in the theme folder, okay? And in our web inf, we are gonna create our frontend slash frontend token slash definition.json. Okay. In this file, we are gonna define our tokens, the tokens we want to be using in our stylebook. Since I'm really lazy, okay, I admit it, I have already done some snippets, which I'm gonna add over here. Okay, now you can see that I have just added a bunch of codes, right? What does this code do? What does this JSON do? Okay, so our first key is the frontend token categories, where we are gonna define the categories we wanna use in our stylebook. What is a category? it's simply a drop down, so we can keep our tokens organized. Okay. In this JSON key, we are gonna have an array of token sets. Once again, what are token sets? Basically, this another thing to keep our tokens organized. Okay. In this case, this sets it's collapsible. Okay, and it will help us so we can organize our tokens and have them in a way that helps us find them in a faster way. Okay, so inside our token sets, we have our array of frontend tokens. Here, to define our tokens, we need their default value. Okay. This key over here is only add when we want to use a color picker, which we use, so it helps us to choose the color we want to give to that variable, okay? Instead of having to translate from hex to the color we want and then or everything, okay? Then we have our label, okay? So the name we want to see on our style book. And here we have the mappings, which basically gives the name to the variable so we can use it in our SAS files, okay? So we have our tokens. Now we want to use them, right? That's why we made them. So we go to our CSS folder, and here we have these two files that come from the build folder, okay? And I'm gonna explain first the clay variables. In this file, we are gonna we're gonna use the variables we have created with the variables that clay gives to us, okay? So if it exists in clay and we want to override it, we are gonna do it over here, okay? So I have already this bunch of code. Okay. So, for example, in this clay variable, this is a body slash bg, which means body background. And this variable is used to change the background color of the body. Okay. So in order to be able to use our tokens, we use this bar. Okay. And here we use the name of the token we want to use. In this case, body background color is the one we have defined over here in mappings. Okay. We also have to add these two slashes, so SAS know it's one of our variables. Okay. Now we have this primary over here, which is defined here, as you can see. And this is used as a default value in case this token does not exist, okay? And last but not least, we have this default flag, which is used. So since this clay variable already exists and we are overriding it, in case there is any conflict or whatever, right? We are telling the system that this is the one we want to use, okay? Instead of another one defined in another part of our code. So now we can use our tokens with our clay variables, but you may be thinking, what if I want to use these tokens in something that is not in clay, right? In one of our custom variables. Well, to do so, we have this file over here, or under class custom, and I'm gonna show you how to use it. Okay, we have a bunch of imports, not too important for what we want to talk about. And here we can define our own custom SAS variables, as we would do in another SAS file or project we have. Okay. Here we use it the same way I did in our clay variables file. Okay. So now we have our tokens created. We are using them in our files. What's left to do? Deploy our changes. To do so, we run npm run deploy. Okay. So this will begin to build our theme. And if everything goes well, this should give us no errors, as we can see. And now our portal will begin to process the changes made in our theme. Okay. So this is deploying. You can see a lot of warnings. That's not important. Okay. So don't worry about them. You can trust me. Now our theme is copying, and now any minute now. Okay, we can see that this it shows started. Okay, so our changes have been deployed to our portal. So now we go to our stylebook, and as you can see, now it's using our token definition. Okay, so we have two categories as I have defined in the JSON file. In this category, I have a token set. Okay, and here we have 4 tokens. For example, this one, body background color, I can edit it and it changes instantly, okay? So I can instantly see what I'm doing, what I'm changing, and everything, okay? So for example, we want to this amazing color for our body background, okay? So we hit publish, we click accept, and now where is our changes, right? What happened? Where did it go, right? So don't worry about this. We simply have to go to edit in our page. We go to page design option, and we have to tell the page that it has to use our stylebook, okay? Because right now it's using the one from inherit from master. So we choose our stylebook, click publish, and as you can see, we have our wonderful body background color. Okay, so now you might be thinking, wow, this is great, this is amazing, I can create my tokens, I can use them as you have shown us. But what if I have my page with my custom page fragments, right? And I want to use my stylebook to edit those fragments, right? Can this be done? Can we do it? Is it possible? The answer is yes. So now I'm gonna pass to Rose because she will show us how to create the fragments, and after that we will show you how to use our stylebook with them. So
Thank you.
Rose.
Thank you, Kiko.
Rose.
So, guys, most of you maybe know the fragments because it's not so new, but normally people came here in the portal and add a new fragment, add a new collection. It's okay. It's a good idea too. It's not a problem. No? But just to know, to make sure that we are passing our code for the CI process and DevOps and take this history in the GitHub. Maybe it's more advice for us too, because we can lost some data from inside the fragments. Maybe want to give to another versions. So I would like to use the JS toolkits to generate it. So we need to generate the npm and the geoman too. It's pretty similar as we have in the theme, so we can install as a global level and generator.
You're not sharing the screen, I think.
Oh no.
Rose.
Okay, I think it was.
Don't
Okay,
worry.
now. Pantalla 2, no, pantalla. Okay. Can you see now?
Now, yes.
Okay. Well, you don't lost a lot of things. So we need the npm and the YAML. So with the npm, we can install at global level here and live generator with Liferay and only chain fragments at the end. Okay, it's very similar as the thing. Install this at level global. You can generate your fragments. One advantage to use the JS toolkit is that we can create a React fragment now. If you don't see this option in your local, please install again because we will get the latest version which give to us this option. Okay. So once installed, we can create. Only need to execute the Lifer fragments in our workspace. So here, let's give the same name, the sample Lifer project. And we can add some sample, which is pretty nice and good to have the idea about new things as the React component. Okay. So adding this, take a few seconds only. I will open my Visual Studio with this option. Okay. So here we have our module. Let me come back. Okay, now it's here. So the sample collection is the fragment, and here we have 3 fragments generate as a sample. First off, one it's the oldest way how to do it with the library tag editable. See, when when we start we speak out, use the library tag to do some part of your fragment editable for the business people when they want to use. And here with the data, it's a new way. Okay, normally we are using more this way because it's easier and to see because we can define a h1 tag, I span and everything that you want, and you define with this attribute and will works as editable. And here the last one, it's the React. As I said, this is a React fragment. So now you can use React in the fragment. And just to know if it's a React or not, this fragment, you can simple to make sure, see here in the fragment JSON, see the type, which is React. Compare it to another one. It's a simple component. Okay. Nice. So when we create these fragments, as Kiko said, we can take advantage and mix everything, put everything together, the theme, the style books, and the fragments. So now Kiko will show you how to take advantage with both together. Let me stop to share my screen now.
Thank you, Rose. Let me share my screen once again. Okay, you have seen how we can create fragments, okay? So in this presentation, I have created 2 fragments, okay? Our main header, where you can see this, it has this HTML, okay? On our main carousel, right? So we have these 2 fragments, and we are gonna add them to our portal. To do so, we go to Edit, and over here, we have our dev24 fragments, and we can drop them over here, right? This carousel also has a drop zone for widgets. So we are gonna add, for example, this nice navigation menu. Okay, now I did. And we are gonna hit publish. So it comes to our page. Okay. Now, yes, we have these two amazing fragments, right? And we might think, I want to edit them, right? So to do so, we simply have to do a couple of things, okay? We go to our token definition and we are gonna add over here some new tokens to use them with our fragments, okay? So I have this code over here, kind of long, sorry about that. And we replace our token definition. Don't worry about, you may think now the file is much larger or anything. Don't worry, the way I have added these tokens is the same way I did before, okay? So there is nothing new with that. Okay, now we have our new tokens and we want to use them, right? In order to do so, I'm gonna go ahead and, let me copy this, create a new folder in our CSS folder, okay? So we have our SAS files more organized, right? So we have one for our main header. One important thing that I can tell you is that over here, this is not right. This should be main. Why? Because when we create our fragments, they come with a wrapper class that is created by default. Why do we have this? So we can use CSS that affects only this fragment, okay? So as you can see here, we have the main header class for our main header fragment. So this is what I have over here, okay? I'm gonna go and create another SAS file for our carousel. Okay. And I'm gonna copy this code over here where we are using the tokens the same way I did in our custom and our play variables, okay? Over here we have the same problem, I would say, but we simply change it so it's the same name as we have in our fragment, okay? So now we have these two new files, but right now, if we deploy our theme, they are not gonna be used, okay? Why? Because they are not import. So how do we do this? It's quite easy. We simply go to our custom SAS file and we add these two imports, okay? So now, when we run our theme, okay, it will also take these two files that we have defined over here. Why do we do this in custom? Because as I have said before, these are custom variables, okay? So this is where the right place to add them. So we have created our new tokens. We have created a new SAS file to use them. We have imported this SAS file. So what's left to do is simply to deploy our theme once again. So as it did before, it's gonna build it, okay? And if everything is right, it will give us no errors. And since we are so good, it has given us no errors, as I have said. And now it's gonna begin the processing of the theme. This pretty much goes the same way it did before, okay? So don't worry about it. It simply takes a couple seconds. So this is totally normal. Okay, this has copied. And now, any second, okay, it has deployed, as we can see from the started prompt. we go back to our stylebook, okay? And now we have these two new categories that I have add right about now. And for example, now I can change the title here. Yes, I can change the subtitle. Okay, no problems. I can change its background. I can go to the carousel and change the navigation menu title color. As you can see, you can hit publish. And as you can see, our changes have been deployed perfectly. So in this presentation, you have seen how we can create our a new theme. How can you add a stylebook to that theme so we can edit any SAS variable we want from clay, custom, anything? And also how we can use these stylebooks to change our own custom fragments. Okay. One last thing is that I have this public repository in case you want to see the some code used in this presentation, or if you want to test things out, or anything you would like to know. Okay. So
Kiko, thank you so much. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just we have good everything, everybody. I'm just invading the stage right now. We've reached our time, Kiko. Thank you so much. You have the please send the link for this repository to the Slack channel, events-life dev.life, because everybody can take a look there. And also, I would like to invite you and Rose to stay a little bit on our dining table right next to us. I believe that's the way.
To the west.
Yeah, to the west, exactly. To the dining table, so we can have Q&As there. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry
Thanks
for
a lot.
taking extra time.
No worry.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our next presenter doesn't need introduction. He's been here before. He's here right now, and he'll be here later on. Louis-Guillaume, let's keep the live coding session going. If you were not here tomorrow in the audience, you missed yesterday. Yeah. You missed an adventure. So we're going to keep this adventure going. Louis-Guillaume will have his second part live coding session.
Yes, guys, I'm invading the space, it looks like. I had this page just because, from Rose San Francisco presentation, you were using, the generator. And I wanted to share that for those of you, though, who don't know, I created a starter that can help you generate a workspace with some elements. So you could, say dev.24 theme and simply click generate workspace with every information you need and just copy this and pass it wherever you downloaded the zip. So it can make things easier for you. With that said, where were we yesterday? Just to do a recap of what we are trying to build here. It's something that looks like the WeTransfer application that we called All Files. The goal is to be able for a visitor that is not logged in to go to this application, upload a file, give some people to share with their email, and give your own email and title a message you want in that email, and sharing to the file. We were stuck yesterday with the fact that we decided we had only one recipient, and we decided to have multiple recipients. And actually here, also what I want to do with this application is rely on the most possible components and features from Liferay. I don't want to do this UI. it's simply a form. Why should I create a form from scratch if I have Liferay forms? The answer would be I have some limitation with Liferay forms, but we need to dig into this to see where are those limitations. And from what we did, we don't have any from right now. I was stuck just because I needed to add multiple recipients, and you have an option in Liferay forms to say that the field is repeatable. So now we had some problem, and I actually did some code off stream. So because we have a very short time today, and we are going to look into that code and the differences from, let me check the right repo. It's here, and it's some of the commits I did between yesterday and today. So yesterday, that's where we were stuck to add support for multiple recipients, and this is what I did. So for those of you who were here yesterday, actually Fabian, my colleague, proposed to use map compute, because I'm in a loop here where I check all field values from the form. So imagine I have first key, that is a field reference that is email to. I got one email, and I go back to the next iteration, and the key is the same. It's email to because the field is repeatable, but I have a new value, and that was overriding the previous one. So Fabian proposed to use compute. I tried things out, and I needed to, did a check null because I need to concatenate only if there's a previous value. And actually, digging into Java documentation, I discovered that an alternative to compute was merge, where here, just simply say that I'm merging previous with current value, and do this concatenation, previous.concat with a special character and the current value. I don't have to do some null checking and all of that. So it simplifies a lot the process. And I needed to update because now for the mail message I need internet addresses, and I only had one previously. Now I need an array of that. So now that I have comma separated emails, I can simply split this and then iterate over the emails and create a new internet address from the email, and just checking if there's some null internet null string for email tos, and create a new if that's not null. So now it supports multiple recipients, and we have multiple people that can receive the link to our file, but we didn't have the link to the file. It was simply giving the message, and I did add the link to the file. So I have a new field to get from the form. And I'm building an HTML body instead of simple message because I want to add an A tag and all of that. So it's very ugly HTML. There's no CSS included. One improvement we could do is add some configuration where you would have rich text from the editor with Liferay to let people create the perfect template and use some variables to say, here is the URL, here is the message, all of that, to put that in form. But if I go a bit, up, yeah, the file to share we get, so we get a field. Let me find that. Where is it? File to share, yeah, it's here. It's a string, but actually we saw into the logs that's a JSON object. So I can use a JSON factory util from Liferay and create a JSON object from that. And from that JSON object, I can get, the URL, I can get the title, I have other information that will be useful later on for use case. So now we have, and I think I can share some of the emails from SMTP for Dev I received, and we have something like that. I have the multiple recipients here. I have 3 people. I have the message, and I have the title and a nice link to the document. So this is really the thing we wanted to achieve, hopefully yesterday. But everything that can go wrong. And here we are. Now the next step from that is to add file expiration. This is how WeTransfer is working and how they have business model around it. If you want more time for your link, you need to subscribe to something, etc. So we need to add a basic expiration for your file. And the way I did this is adding a task here, all files expiration task. We actually can go into the code instead of the diff. So you see a new class using base message listener. The service is its own. It's just Liferay task. Our files expiration task. So this is something, if you don't know, in OSGI, normally we implement an interface and we say that the service is this interface, but you can actually create some components. And this is what I did with this, a little service where I have some utility methods. It doesn't have an interface, at least for now, but I can make it a component in OSGI and refer only the class in the service, and it works. And I have the immediate truth, so I know the component is available right away. And I can use @reference on this class with private attributes in other classes. So here the task is a simple component with extended base message listener, and you have some configuration. And I wasn't sure what to write, and when I was looking for Liferay scheduler, of course, I ended up reading a blog post from Dave Nebinger. So thanks to Dave Nebinger, I created the necessary step I need for my scheduler. So I have the activate, where I need to create trigger factory, create a trigger, and this is where I say how many times this task has to run. And I made that configurable. And this is, maybe I can show you directly from the interface. Most important things here, since we're relying on out-of-the-box feature, I think is to make your logic configurable for the users, so they can change the default behavior and you don't have to update every time your application. So we have our files. So we need to link to the Liferay form we're using for this use case. And then we have 2 important parts. We have what the default expiration for any file that is uploaded to this form. Here I put 20 seconds because it's practical for the demo, but that's not realistic in the WeTransfer use case, where it's more like a week or a few days. And the interval, like how many, what is the frequency of the task that is supposed to look, to look at the files, uploaded to the platform, and check the expiration date to clean all of that. So this is what I'm using, the interval and time units. This is the things that comes from this configuration, and I have a list here. That's quite nice for end users. And the most important thing is what I'm doing in the do receive. It's actually where the logic lives. So here I'm simply getting all the records, that's the important spot, all the records from the form ID I configured. So I know it's all the records from the all files form. And I can iterate over that, and with the create time and the configuration I put on the expiration value and units I need to convert, there's some bit of work here, but I can find the expiration date and do a comparison and see if the expiration date of a specific document of a specific form is after today. So I need to clean that. I have another filter controlling if among those expired files and actually form records, uh, those files might be deleted. So I need to avoid trying to delete something that does not exist. So just an additional control. And actually I can then do a loop. I'm doing some debugs to understand, which records creation and see if everything is okay with what I intended to do. And then I can, get back my my fields, get the file, from the records, because you remember we have a file to share that's a JSON object, and I have more information than the URL or the title. So I can get the file entry ID and then use the DL file entry service and just delete the file and go on with all of the records from this form. So now if I upload a file 20 seconds later, if I try to click on the link from the email, it will say that it's expired, or no, the resource doesn't exist. I think we can see that here. Yeah, not found. It doesn't exist. And actually, we can check out on forms and see the view of entries. And this is, we still have the entries from, the form, because I think from a business point of view, you want to keep track on the activity. You don't want to delete completely the form entries or, from the codes the form record. That's why I call the file entry service instead. So I can keep track on that. And if we think on, new features to add to this, it would be, someone want to create an account now because they want to upgrade to premium. And if they do this with the email they used as a sender, which would be the case, they can have an history of everything they did before premium and before creating their account. So either from a business perspective or for a customer perspective, it's either way very useful. And here, what's nice is that Liferay forms handle my use case perfectly. I know the title, I know from the extension what kind of document that was, but it indicates that the document was deleted. Okay, so it looks like we are almost there, but I have more things to share with you. Let's say I did some refactoring, so I can choose, a new delimiter, and it will be useful if next time, let's go back to the homepage. I decide, like you can do with WeTransfer, to make the file to share repeatable, but it's a JSON object with commas, so I can't use commas for this use case. So I refactored how I'm doing the merging to allow, let's go to the file service, multiple values delimiter and use, so you could do commas for emails, but semicolon for, the JSON object. So now it's flexible and, we are prepared for the next iteration. The last thing I wanted to do with that use case is actually, not sending the direct link to the document, but actually using display page templates to create a nice display page for my document and put a button for the download link. So this is actually something you can do with Liferay. So if I go to design page template, I have a document display page template. So let me go back just to highlight something important is the type and subtype of the assets used here. I'm doing a display page for basic documents and it's marked as default. So any document, can be displayed in this page if I'm pointing to this display page. And this is what I did. Let me go back, not here, but I did a new page with documents. I actually uploaded one document. It's not part of the forms. It's part of, I have one document here in documents and media and display that in a collection display in a content page. And I have a preview. It's not a good, I didn't care about the theme here. I just have details, and details is actually the display page for my document. And we see a friendly URL with d/ and the file entry ID. So hitting that, let me go to the display page for a given document. And I can, map any information. Here is the size of the document. It's the meme type here. I have the title, I have the preview image also, and now I have a download link. I can click on that and I actually have the PDF here. So now I want to send the link to this page in the email instead of the link to the resource like we saw here. It's not a /g, it's actually documents, portlet, file, entry. So it's not quite as nice as the display page, So I want to update that. And this is the last step I did. Let me go maybe to the code. Where is the code? The code is here. Let's go to the listener. So there's been a bit of refactoring if you come from yesterday. So I have a send email method. And here, let me find where I do this. The build HTML body method that, building the message. And here I added some logic to get the right portal URL and context, and just adding a suffix that is what we saw. It's d/ the file entry ID. This code you might want how I built it. Did I make that from scratch this morning? I did the same thing as yesterday. I was I did that somewhere in my account. I did have a layout URL indexer, so I wanted to add the actual URL from a content page indexed in Elasticsearch, and I needed that. So I don't know why it's format like that, but I just used that little snippet here that I did in the past. So now we can try this out because this is the final step. So we can do our use case again. Actually, I'm going to, can I clean? Let's clean all of that. Start fresh. Okay. Let's go back here. Let's sing out because we want to do that as guests. Okay. Commerce. Email to dev.24 Liferay demo. I want to add 48 and 72. Let's be crazy. Me at liferay.demo. And say commerce features. Check out this paper. It's awesome. And I submit that. Immediately I got this notification, the email. I click on that. I have the display page and I can download the PDF. And now we can go to the logs and see, the job to clean expired links is triggered. I think we need to wait. Here are the logs from the submission. Now we have, this 20-second we hit, so it detects that there is a record that is expired, expiration 22nd, and we actually deleted some file. And now the job keeps running, and do not try to delete that again. So it means that if I reload this page, no, it says that the resource still is not found because the file is deleted. So I think that's pretty much it. If I would do conclusion on that, that's something we didn't do in the use case, is verifying the user. And just to tell you guys how I was intending to do that, when you submit that, first we need to apply a workflow like the single approver from Liferay on forms. So we don't have approved, any submission right away. And we can check in the model listener that, we have a pending submission from your, I'm still behind the, let me move where I am. Okay, I'm on stage now and visible. And it will be like, it's pending. I'm not sending any emails. I'm sending an email to the sender actually with a link to a new servlet that will verify all the information, and I verify the email, I link it to the form record, and it will allow me to verify the address email, maybe add an inactive user for, a future premium account. But more importantly, I can move now from pending to approved. And actually, if I'm approving, I go back in the model listener, and now I can send the link, so I can verify the status and go back on the use case we saw here. I think that's pretty much it. I hope you, enjoyed this live coding session, and try to use more of out of the box features, because you can go very far, and you see there's actually enough code to get some headaches around business logic here without having to reinvent everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Louis. Not only a host, but also presenting 3 different talks. Live coding is always a different thing every time you do it. So
yeah,
thank you so much for being up to the challenge, and everybody, I'm sure, appreciates so much what you did, because it is funnier to have live things happening, right?
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah. So now we're really close to a break. This is one of the things you told us yesterday. You in the audience told us yesterday it is important to have a break, to run around this world, and to have some fun on the other rooms also. So we're close to a break. But before that, we still have a talk about building your first Liferay custom application with Angular UI. And Louis, I'll let you introduce our next speaker, since you're co-workers.
Yeah, so many co-workers, in dev.24, and that's nice, because I know those guys and the work they've done. And with Danny, we talk about how we cannot trust a sales engineer, but actually sales engineers get their hands dirty, and that's the case of Mahmoud. And Mahmoud, put his heart in, doing awesome stuff and documenting it, and sharing the steps to do, for example, the Angular application that you will share. So I'm glad that you're here, Mahmoud. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much for that introduction.
You're welcome.
So now, or there is a break before that?
The break is after, right?
Okay. So let me share my screen first, just to start with. a quick presentation just to give you an overall view of the agenda of what I'm talking about today. So this is the agenda for me today. Can you see my screen?
Perfectly.
Okay. So usually, as Luis mentioned, we are in the pre-sales engineering, and most of the time the customer says, like, once I want to adapt Liferay, what happens if there is like custom business requirement that require custom entities or custom logic? How easy I can implement that and how smooth I can do that. So in this session, what I will do is I will show you how easy we can build a service builder. Yes, we will not go deep into service builder. However, I will show you the power of service builder and how we can easily integrate with any Power Application, progressive web application. So we'll start by the prerequisites, then we'll go to workspace, project and modules, then we'll start creating the service builder together, and then we end up building the interface. As a starting point, usually we need to tell our customer that if you want to build a custom module with Liferay, you have multiple options. It's either you can go with a Liferay Developer Studio or IntelliJ Studio, or you can just use the Blade CLI. And for sure, you'll need like a Liferay bundle installed and configured. And in my session, I will be using IntelliJ because this is easier for me to understand. And starting point for us will be like, we will have a workspace. We need to create a workspace. And in Liferay, once we need to do a customization or let's say building a module, we start by Liferay workspace, which will be the host for our modules. So I will do the presentation like I will read the slide, I will tell you about the step, then we'll do it together, then we'll go back to the next step. I hope this will be suitable for you. So I will start by creating the workspace. So it's very easy task for me here in Liferay, since all what I need to do is to create a new project, and the project should be of type Liferay workspace. And in Liferay workspaces, we are using like Gradle workspace because there's many generator will help you doing the code there. So I will start by creating the Liferay Gradle workspace. I'll click next, then I will give it a name. So I just prepared the names. I prepared everything somewhere here. So I will name it like exercise project. And just to make sure that I don't have it before 01. And then I will use like the product version. For my presentation, I will be using 7.3. However, you can do the same step for 7.4. And then I will choose the SDK. Then I will click on finish. Now, once I finish, I will have the workspace prepared for me. And it will be like a host where I can create my modules, and it will allow me to build those modules at once. And I generate the, let's say, jar files. So just wait until the workspace just prepare itself. So once it's prepared itself, as you can see, we have the module folder where it will be hosting our modules, which we will be creating right now. So let me start by creating a new module. Now, since we are talking about service builder, so the module should be under the type of service builder, and I will give it a name here. So from here, you should choose a service builder, and the module name, let's copy that, services, we'll call it the services. And next, and for the package name, I will use this one. So for our example, we will be building a bookmarks. Now, I know in 7.4, it's up, sorry, in 7.4, it's out the box there, and you can just use it using or build something similar to that using the objects. So let me just click on finish. And now it's preparing. So the idea of this presentation is like a quick jump into service builder for those who are new to Liferay, who are, let's say, still doesn't know how to build those customization in Liferay. So it will be like a quick jump. And after the session, we'll be sharing the GitHub, let's say, sample project along with a document with the steps, step by step. So once you finish generating the module, Liferay will give you two folders, like under the services, one called services-API and services-service. So under that service, you will find the service XML, and there where the magic happens. Like now, imagine that you are building a new custom logic which requires database entity. So how can I create this database entity on the fly? So all what you need to do is just to jump into this service.xml and just, let's say, design your database schema. So you just give it a columns, you give it the type for that column, and then you can give it the, let's say, the relationship between those columns, or sorry, those entities. And then if you have a finder, like I need to create a persistence function to pull information based on one of those columns, like by find by ID, find by name, etc. So you can just add this tag like finder, you give it a name, then you give it the return type. So it's either like unique with the bookmark type, or a collection, which will return a collection of that entity that you're creating. Then the finder column ID, which will be like generated for you in the function prototypes. Like I need to pass this ID value in order to get the query done for me. So let me just copy the XML from here and we talk about it. So I will clear out this and we'll talk about our entities here. So in our example, we created an entity called bookmark. And for that bookmark, I need to generate two kinds of services, the remote service and the local service. So the question is, what's the difference between the remote service and local service? So for those who are developing the services, sometimes we need like a full access to the data, no permission check. So I will be doing that logic within like my local services. And if I need to do or apply a permission check, then I need to apply through the remote services. And both will be generated for me by the Gradle service that we will run it afterward. Now, I have added those columns. And in my opinion, this is how the bookmark should look like. I need a title, I need a description, and the URL for that page. Then Liferay will help me to add those audit fields, like the company ID, the user ID who just added this bookmark, the username, the created date, and modified date. And then in order to integrate this with my asset framework, I need to add the references to the group, asset entry, asset link, and asset tag. And this is something I think we need like another session to go deep into that for integrating with the asset framework. And in our session today, we'll just add the basics. Like I will show you how to create the basic CRUD methods and how we expose that into an API, which will be used later on in an Angular application or any other Power application. And this is my finder. So the first finder is returning a collection based on the current user ID. So I'm getting the bookmarks that has been created by the current user or the user ID that I'm passing. Then I have a finder, another finder, which will return for me a single item since I'm passing the bookmark ID, which is the unique ID, my primary key. Now, once I finish with this XML, all what I need to do is just to go to the Gradle process, task, sorry. I go to services. Under the services project, there is a task called build service. So I will build the service. So now what will happen exactly is Liferay will generate for you the APIs, which is like a definition of that, let's say, objects that you are trying to build. So other services within the OSGI container will understand the model that you are building. It will generate for you the interfaces, which is the API layer or contracts. We name it differently from technology to another. And then it will generate for you an empty implementation folder to implement your services. So let's just wait until it's finished. Yeah, it's done. So as you can see, we have the API has been generated. I have the source code here for all the things which define my service. Then I have the services implementation folder. And inside, I will have two files. So this is the local service, and this is the remote service. So implicitly, Liferay have generated for you all the required methods to access the database. And all what you need to focus on right now is just to build your, let's say, business logic in the local service and the remote service. So let's just add the code which allow us to add or delete or find a bookmark. We prepared that previously. Let me just copy that. So now I will just need to import the missing references. Okay, so let's just read the code and understand what's happening in there. So the first method, which is add a bookmark, which will take the group ID, string title. Those are the fields that I'm expecting to have it to create a new bookmark. Then I'm getting the current group ID, the current user, logged in user, using the service context. Then using the service local, user local service, I'm getting the user ID. I'm getting the user object. Now, the nice thing about Liferay, since it has already created for me the objects, now I can create a counter. So I have a local service that generate for me a unique IDs per class name. So I pass the bookmark class name, and it will return for me a unique ID for that new bookmark to be created. Then I'm populating those information in the object. Then I'm adding that bookmark to the database. The next method is to remove a bookmark. So I need the persistent layer, then remove the bookmark. So let me just import the missing class. That's it. And the last method, which will be returning all of those bookmarks based on the finder that I have just created. So if you notice here, like find by user ID has been created based on my signature and my, let's say, request in the XML file. So I told Liferay, please generate for me this finder, which will be called find by bookmark ID. And then I'm giving them the bookmark ID field name. And based on that, it has been generated for me. So let me just import this. Okay. So until now, we have built only the local services, which can be accessible through the OSGI, other OSGI, let's say, modules. But the question is, how can I generate the JSON API, which is required for me to use it, like if I want to call this from a JavaScript or Angular or React. So all what you need to do right now is to implement the required services in the remote service. And the magic will happen that once you build it, it will be part of Liferay JSON services. So all what I need to do is to go to the bookmark service, remote service, and I will implement that APIs. Let me just import the missing. Now, as you can see, it's saying that there is an issue that the local service doesn't have a method called add bookmark. And that's because either I didn't add it as a public service or I didn't run the build service to update the APIs. So once I finish, I will update that service by running the build service. So now I'm done with importing the missing classes. I will just build the service again. And as you can see, it will have no errors afterward. So now what happened exactly is, since I implemented my services in the local service and I just hit on build service again, Liferay Gradle task will update my API, the contracts, which I'm using it inside my remote service. So the remote service will understand that there is a new method called remove bookmark by ID and add bookmark and get bookmark by current user. Now we're done. So all what I need to do is to package it and deploy it in Liferay, and I will see it available as a new service. So let's just package it and see what will happen. So I will go to the task. I will go to bundle. That. So now I have it bundled. So I have it in my Docker deploy. Let me just bring it in Finder. It will generate for you 2 jars. I will copy it. And I'll just place it in deploy. Now, if we look at here, you can see that it's processing the packages. So it has been started. So let me just go to my bundle. Sign in. just go to API slash. Now from the JSON APIs, now here I can see that I have the bookmarks, as you can see, sorry. And I have my 3 methods available. So now I can easily execute any commands from JavaScript to call those APIs and build my logic within the UI, or let's say build the UI for that. So now the next step is to build the interface. So either I can go with JSP or I can go with Angular. And in this session, we'll just go about and talk about Angular. It's my preferred. So I will go back to my workspace and I will say I need now to build the Angular let's say module. So I will say Liferay module, next. I will give it. Now I'll create a new component which called add bookmarks. And the nice thing here, if you're using like let's say Angular or any progressive application, it means that you are trying to somehow implement the micro front end. And this is something very, let's say, trendy right now in the market. So from here, I will choose npm module, Angular. I'll click on next, and I will give it package name, fetch. Now, once it's finished, I will have that module available for me here. So let's just talk about it in here. Then I will take you into the code itself. So once you have it done here, so Liferay will generate for you a portlet, which later on will be rendering your, let's say, custom application, which is holding Angular or React or any other framework. So the thing is, you can go to Java and you can go to your package and you will find the package, let's say there, which contains your portlet as a JSP portlet. And then you can go to meta-info, and under that you can go for live application, and there's your application, the Angular application. So you can easily just write your code directly in here. So for that, we prepared a snippet for your application. We'll go through that snippet. So what we are doing exactly here is just calling normal API using Angular. So as you can see here, I have the template for the component, which is a very simple template. I have a pattern which calls add to bookmarks, which is a function within my Angular components. And let me just go to that add to bookmarks. So in add to bookmarks, I have the service URL. So the question is, how can I get this service URL? If you go back here in the API, you can see the endpoint that you are trying to get. So add bookmark, this is the endpoint. And then this is the, let's say, the parameters that you need to have. And if you click on invoke, Liferay will help you to give you a JavaScript example of how you need to pass this information. And since we are using like an application that will be hosted within Liferay, even the permissions that to pass the current user token will be handled for you if you're using liferay.service a JavaScript object, which we are using it here in our code. So let's go back to the code. So as you can see here, we created the object on the same signature that is being expected by the endpoint, and we gave it the service URL. Then we are passing it to a generate service promise, which is a simple code that I've generated just to create a promise out of this call from Liferay. So in Liferay.service, then I'm passing the service URL, I'm passing the object, I'm returning a promise with a resolve for the result and reject for the error. And then I'm returning the promise. Once I'm having the promise returned, I can just return it to the page itself. If I have like a loading or something like that, I can just hide it or show it. And that's how we can just create a new bookmark using JavaScript, TypeScript. Now, the next module, which will be to view all of those items. So I need to create another module. I click on next. Now let me just give it the same name we're expecting. And then the same, I will use npm Angular portlet. Next, package name. Hit on finish. Now I have the list bookmarks. So in the same way, I can navigate to the application itself. So I go to Live, I go to application and application components. And I will have the code for that. Let's just discuss the code itself. So in this code, I will be like having two methods, delete the bookmark, and I will have the get bookmark. So it's the same approach. So if you notice here, like I don't have to write a different way of calling the APIs. It's something very generic, very unified among all the calls. So all what I need to do is to have something similar to this to generate the promise, which will be passing to Liferay service URL, the object, and then returning a promise. And in here, like delete bookmark, it will take the bookmark ID from the item that I have selected in the template. Then it will pass it to the liferay.service. And then I have the other one, which is get bookmarks. And since we are calling it from Liferay service, I know the user ID, then the service context will do the magic for me to get the current user. So I need to pass the current user ID in here. So all what I need to do is to call this method, which is get bookmarks for the current user. And by then I will be listing only the bookmarks related to this user. Now in the UI level, the templates is very easy. Like I'm looping over the bookmarks and then I'm rendering the bookmarks, and I have a function, simple function that I'm passing to it the bookmark ID, and that's it, it's done. So once I'm done, I can just build this and deploy it, and it will be up and running for me. So just to avoid any delay in the building this, because I need to install the missing modules npm install, so I prepared that in a different project. Let me just show it to you. So this is the project. We have it deployed. Yes, we have it. So it's the same project, same implementation. And I have it up and running. So sometimes we need to upgrade the CLI. So I will be sharing with you how to upgrade the CLI for Angular within the npm portlet. It's a very easy task. All what you need to do is to update the package, the JSON, sorry. So once you update it, you just install the packages again, and that's it. You will have it running with Angular like the latest version, just like what I have here. So once we finish and we build it, we just run the build task. We'll have those jar files. Let me just open it in Finder. So I have the create and I have the list. So let me just take it and deploy it in my local machine. Let's go back to the has been started. This is the list. This is the create. So now I can just add those widgets directly to my page. So let's just try it together. Just let me add a new container, just like this. Now, if I go to my widgets, I will be looking into add bookmark and list bookmark. So if I add the bookmark here, this is the add bookmark. And then I will have the list on the same page, or I can just create another different page. So let me publish. Oh, sorry. So as you can see now, I have the add bookmark. So if I click on add and I refresh the page, I have a new bookmark has been added. And if I delete, I can delete it. If I refresh, I no longer see that item available in my application. I think that's all what I need to show today. So I will be sharing the sample project and the sample document with the all steps and the source code of that example project.
Thanks a lot, Mahmoud.
Thank
It
you.
was, let's say, very close to what developers need to build and what they encounter, and tips to have from everything that can wrongly happen and some mistakes to avoid. So that's very good to take that. Let me, because Olaf always tells me, yeah, you hide during presentation and then you need to show the little character. So let me find if there's any question. I don't see any question from Slack or YouTube, but I think that's good. Oh, did he get back? Are you back,
He's back.
Mahmoud? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm sorry by mistake.
No worry. I was saying, sorry, no questions from the audience apparently, but from what we saw yesterday, it reminds me of Dave Nevinger question, like when should we go to remote from service builder, and when should we go with the REST builder? I don't know if you try to implement the REST builder using service builder, or if you have a take on that.
Honestly, in this session, I was like targeting only the service builder. REST builder is another topic which we need to cover in details.
Sure.
Even the permission management and how we can include our new entity in the permission list. So it's a different topic. But however, this was like created for those people who just, let's say, new to Liferay and they are
Sure.
wondering how to create those kind of objects.
You're perfectly right. Sometimes we forgot that we may have very new people to the community, and we need to address them from the ground up. And that's why your talk is very interesting in that regard. And what you mentioned is, yeah, from the remote APIs, we have a lot of stuff taken care for us permission-wise. And the REST builder is really a new approach and a new component to add, and not only a new attribute to add in the service builder. It's another package, a different, I would say, theme when it comes to building backends. I think we are good now. Thanks a lot again, Mahmoud, for your presentation. And if you can hang up to the west at the dining table for anybody that would like to chat a bit with you about your presentation, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you so much, Luis and Ali. Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you
to
so much, Mahmoud.
Yeah.
So, Louis, it's time for a break.
Yeah, I need some coffee. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So let's do this break, and we should be back in
half an hour.
Half an hour. Good.
Exactly. We have half an hour break, and there's plenty to do. So I would recommend everybody to start with the room on the west, on the left side of our screens. There you can have some fun playing chess, for example, or playing pool with somebody, or just listening to music and connecting with other people. So I know there's a delay, and I will be here waiting for everybody to leave because the stream is not going to happen for half an hour, and we're going to move there and we're going to have some fun together, right?
Sure. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, everyone, and see you in half an hour.
Yes. Another suggestion: take selfies, pictures using your screenshots tools, and gather your friends and tell everybody you were at Dev.24. This is great. You can all use the same emoji at the same time. For example, let's gather a bunch of French people and just everybody put the French flag up, and let's take a screenshot and show everybody that we were here.
I'm sure we won't see many French flags, but maybe a lot of Brazilian flags. Go, people!
Brazilians
we
are
love
coming,
your energy, and we need that in Walk Adventure. So go with flags, and let's get this energy in Walk Adventure.
put the flags up, take screenshots, share on the Slack channel. Let's we cannot have pictures, right? Because we're here online, but you can photobomb Ray, for example. We have a bunch of rays around the scenery, a bunch of prints of Ray, so you can have a picture with Ray. It's not in person, but it's almost. So let's try to enjoy. Yeah, the French flag, yay! Let me find my Brazilian flag around here. I know there are not many Brazilians connected right now because it's lunchtime for us, but I'm sure at the end, until the end of the day, we're going to have a bunch of them popping up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you in a bit, guys.
Olaf, you're muted.
This is the first time today. I just wanted to add, explore the world. We've built it for you and not just to come to watch the stream.
Let's go.
Olaf, the counter doesn't reset each day. So now it's the 6th time?
I think it's 5 then. I think it was 4 times yesterday, muted, and first time today.
I'm going to build one in the wall here.
Okay, and just to see that we mean it, I'll switch off the stream now and we'll switch it on later on. So you will need to leave the room anyway in order to restart the stream. You might as well do it now and explore what we have here. Find the space world, play pool. There are more games, as far as I know, in the space world as well. So you can go to space right here.
Bye.